Hi friend, it's Ron from CamMastery.com, where you can go to learn how to make great videos with Camtasia. This is a free lesson Friday, which means you get a free lesson right from my Camtasia Mastery course. If you want to get the entire course, you can head over to CamMastery.com/store and pick up that course. Now, onto the video. Let's understand why we use annotations, and it's really to guide our viewers' eyes to a certain part of the screen. That's what we want. We can also use it to provide additional information, but more times than not, we want our viewers to look at a specific part of the screen, and so we'll use annotations to do that. So if I look here, I see that in a moment I am going to move over to the Inputs tab, and so before I get there, I want to draw my user's attention to that area. So what I'll do is I'll move my playhead to the part of the timeline where I want that annotation to be. And then I can go to the annotations here in the Tools panel, or I can use the N key on my keyboard to do that. And by default, it comes up with callouts, and maybe instead I want to use an arrow. So I might grab this arrow and just drag it over here. Now, when I do that, I can see that it has created an arrow on the timeline right where the beginning of my playhead is. If I didn't want it there, maybe I wanted it a little earlier, I'll just undo that quickly. What I can do is I can grab it, drag it down here, and I say, oh, I want it to happen a little earlier. So maybe I want it to happen here at the beginning. So you can decide when you want it to happen by just dragging it to the timeline, or if you know exactly when you want it to appear, you can move your playhead to that point and then drag it directly to your canvas. So creating them is very easy. And just like other things, we can move them to wherever we want, and we can make adjustments to them using the Properties panel. So when I dragged this over here, I said I wanted it to point to Inputs, but it's pointing the wrong way. Okay, well, I can go over to the Properties, and I can say, well, I want an arrow on this side, but not on this side, and I want it to be thicker, and I want it to be a little bit longer, and I want to change the color to this blue. Okay, so I'm not going to show you how to change every different property of every different annotation. I just want to show you that it's very simple for us to add these to our timeline by finding the annotation we want, by dragging it over to our canvas, or by looking at our timeline and dragging it somewhere down here on our timeline.